afternoon and welcome to Coffee with a Kick. I'm Xander, that's Keegan, and boy oh boy is the Champions League Final all set. It is. I don't know why I made that sound like some sort of interrogatory sentence. The Champions League Final is indeed all set, and no preamble, we're just going to roll right into it here. Champions League semifinals, starting off with Borussia Dortmund going to that PSG guys. There we are. Parc des Princes. And then we had our match between Real Madrid and Bayern Munich. Both of them, I consider them pretty different matches. I felt like the Bayern one was more tense overall. But the Dortmund match was more of a chess match, I felt like. Because Dortmund, we talked about it in the preview, that Dortmund's defense did such a good job containing PSG's offense. And that continued in this. Like, they were organized in the back. PSG got their chances still. They just weren't able to convert on the few very good chances they did have, especially there at the very end. How they didn't get an equalizer with the Mbappe little, like, not scissor kick, more of like a swan kick sort of thing right there. I think they hit the upper crotch. If that goal mouth was about a foot bigger, a foot higher, I think they would have had 3 there by the end, because Mbappe hit it, and then I think it was, and then one of their other guys hit it real good on a sweet shot, and they hit it one other time earlier in the match. But yeah, Dortmund prevailing was, it was a earned win on their part. Real Madrid earned, they ended up winning, but Bayern was the more in control side for the vast majority of it. Real had a couple chances here and there, a couple good bursts forward, but they didn't score until a honest, truly bungle by Bayern's goalkeeper there, and then a very tight, he was onside, but a very tight onside call there. In that, I think, what are the two? It was like the 90, it was like the 83rd. Let me get it pulled up specifically. Come on.
I think it was 87 or 88, that second one.
Yeah, the second one. 88 and 90 plus 1 by Joselu. I mean, it was nervy through the end, but we got there, and you know, having to put back on, having to change the gears that Bayern would have to do to go back and score. It's always hard to do that, especially when making defensive substitutions to try to keep Real Madrid out of your end. And they just couldn't get back going forward.
Yeah, I was just looking up the Bayern goal at the end. It was ruled that he was onside.
Yes. It was a very tight onside call, but he was onside.
But Bayern didn't equalize because the ref put his flag up.
Oh, yes, you're talking about after.
90 plus 9.
Yes, you're talking about afterward.
Yeah.
He ended up being onside?
So, yep, they said.
Wow.
After the game, they said it's a mistake because De Ligt didn't make a play on the ball and he was offside, but Mueller was onside. But because the referee immediately put his flag up, VAR couldn't intervene. It says he's supposed to keep his flag down
because
for tight calls.
Gotcha. Because Real reacted to the call, VAR couldn't overturn it because it affected the run of play. Boy, that's tough. I still don't know that Bayern comes back. It could have very well then gone your way with it going to penalties. Yeah, neither of us were looking very good, and then all of a sudden I was exactly correct, is how that came down to it with the 2-1 victory. 2-2, it should have been 2-2, and then you would have pulled through. But instead you went 0 for gopher on this one, and I had 1 perfect pick and 1 miss. But I thought that both of the matches were really good. Yeah.
No, I mean, Dortmund played just like they played in the first match. Mm-hmm. I mean, PSG was just unlucky. They hit the bar 6 times. Poster bar.
Yeah.
6 times, which is a ridiculous amount to not get a goal.
Yeah.
And even Real Madrid did the same thing. They hit the bar, and it fell right to another guy. Neuer saved it early on. But, yeah, it gave me flashbacks to 2 years ago when Real Madrid scored 3 goals in 5 minutes against Man City to come back and win.
Yeah.
So I feel for Bayern, but yeah, that last one, it's such a tough way to lose because they equalized, it was fair, but because the whistle and flag came before he shot it, you can't review the goal. So there's actually nothing to review, which is really tough. So Bayern will feel hard done by. I think if they get a goal there, they could go on to win it just with the subs that had happened. But man, tough way to go out. But Dortmund Real, I think, is going to be more like Dortmund PSG matchup.
Yeah.
And Bayern Real Madrid. A lot less free flowing, a lot more just hunker down, play some defense, be tactical.
Yes. Dortmund's going to try to impress their style of game onto Real Madrid rather than Bayern and Real kind of playing. They wanted to play open and loose in those matches. So it will be a clash of styles, and we'll see if Real. We'll see. A lot of it will come down to how well is Jude Bellingham and Vinicius Jr. playing. How well are they working together? If they can get moving and keep that free flowing offense on Real Madrid going, then you could see Dortmund having to open up a little bit. But it's a one and done situation. You've got one match to make it all worth it, and that match is only going to end up going one way. So,
and very rarely have the finals been high scoring recently. Yeah. I think in the last 5 or 6 years, they've only one of them has gone 3 goals. So it's been 1-0, 1-1 going to pins, maybe 2-1, but yeah, it's been a while. I think it's been Liverpool-Tottenham was the last one. That was in 2019. But you're in for a game where both teams don't want to make the mistake. So They play very conservatively for most of the match.
Right. Yeah. So it'll be a taut match. I don't know if it'll be an explosive match. But yeah, I mean, we get that look forward to way over in June. So it's going to be a while before it gets here. We'll wrap up all of our Premier League stuff before we get there, and the FA Cup, right? FA Cup between the extra Manchester derby we have this year. That happens the week after the Premier League wraps up. And we will move on from there to our Premier League picks because we are coming down to the end here. Just a whole ramshackle amount of picks here that we have to make on Saturday. 8 of the 10 happening on Saturday, and then 1 on Sunday, and 1 on Monday. And then there's a little bit of midweek action that we'll cover next week, obviously. But we'll start it off with, I think, a pretty straightforward one here. Fulham hosts Manchester City at Craven Cottage. I think it's pretty straightforward. I think that City takes it 4-0. I think they're rocking and rolling right now. They're one-track mind, and that is to win the Premier League and overcome the goal difference just so it's easier for them.
Yeah, I am predicting 5-0.
Wow.
I think City are rocking and roaring. There was a joke on Twitter or X, sorry, Elon, earlier today where it said Fulham is preparing well, and it shows their guys just flying kites on their training facility. So I think they're just at the end of the season, and they're just kind of cruising. But yeah, I think City has something to play for. Fulham doesn't. Easy win. Done and dusted.
Boom. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Then to one I really don't have a good feel for because neither of these teams are playing for anything, but they're playing kind of well. So we got the Bournemouth hosting Brentford at 10 a.m. Exclusively on Peacock for match week 37, and I think that both these teams have shown that they can score recently. I think it goes 2-2, Brentford and Dortmund, Brentford and Bournemouth. Just because I think that they're playing kind of loose right now. There's not a lot to play for, but except for kicking goals.
Yeah, I'm also thinking it's going to be a draw. I'm thinking it's going to be 2-2. I'm thinking it's going to be, again, both teams playing decent, have their losses, but have also had their wins and scored goals. I feel like, yeah, one of those matches, like you said, they're just not a ton to play for, just kind of going for it, seeing who can score the most goals. I don't know. But I think I'll be conservative, go with the draw 2-2.
Hey, Brentford is playing for getting to double-digit wins on the season. They're at 9 right now, so maybe they can get themselves up to 10. I don't think they'll get there, but we will see. Then to a match I think is also pretty straightforward. Everton hosts Sheffield United, the vanquished Sheffield United. Do you think that Sheffield cares enough to try in this one?
Yeah, I don't. I think that it's one of those where the players that know they're going to be playing for Sheffield next year probably already know that. The players that know they don't want to be there know that. And so we might see some youngsters in this one. That has typically happened in the past. Some youngsters will play. I think Everton takes it 3-0. I think Everton still feels like they have a little bit more to play for. They're safe, but they may just want to really rubber stamp, beat the bad team, beat the bottom team, and just kind of make it look like their season wasn't a total disaster.
Yeah, I mean, they're playing pretty well. I mean, they beat Liverpool recently. They'll feel bad that they drew Luton last week. But I'm also 3 goals for Everton. I just think that Sheffield does get one. Because they've scored a decent amount of goals this season. Well, I say that. Yeah, they've scored a decent amount. They're averaging at least almost 1 goal a match. Everton's conceding plenty, I think, is more of what it is. But yeah, I think 3-1 goes that way. Then we go to Newcastle. A resurgent Newcastle versus a resurgent Brighton Hove Albion. Which resurgent team do you think carries through the day?
I think Newcastle's too good right now. I think they're showing really good signs of who they were last year in the previous campaign. And they're good enough to where they can carry that momentum. They're not like a mid-table team that can't carry that. So I think they win 4-1. I think Brighton has been playing decent. But again, Newcastle, they have something to play for. They have Europe to play for, potentially Europa League. So I think they'll be pretty hard-pressed to make sure they're scoring, getting some wins, putting the pressure on the other teams to get points, and getting in position to be able to play European next year.
I have Newcastle winning as well. I think it's a little bit closer. I think I've got it 3-2. A real nice goal-scoring fest there at St. James's Park. But yeah, it's looking for just a good one there on Saturday, one of the Saturday afternoon matches. Then we go to a team in utter collapse, it seems. Tottenham hosts Burnley. Tottenham, of course, riding on a 4-game losing streak, having lost to the likes of Newcastle, Arsenal, Chelsea, and most recently Liverpool. So, I mean, upper table teams, but still, 4 losses in a row with, how many of those were at home? One, with only one of them being a home match. Okay, fine, whatever. But they now get Burnley, who is fighting for their Premier League lives. They're also fighting for their championship life because they want to keep that pushed off as long as possible. I think, listen, this is probably not going to be right, but I think Burnley gets it done. I think Burnley takes it 2-1. I think Tottenham is, like I said, in utter free fall. They don't look confident. They're not putting Madison out there. They're relying on Schoboschlei, Sloppy Boppy, whatever his name is. And he hasn't done much recently. And Burnley, Tottenham has stuff to play for. They could still, no, they can't. Not at this. Well, no, they could theoretically, depending on what Aston Villa does, still get into the Champions League next year. It'd take a lot of doing, but theoretically they could. They've still got 3 games left. So if they beat Burnley and win their next 2, they would be at 69. And Aston Villa, they would have to hope Aston Villa doesn't win either of the last 2 matches. If they win, any of their last matches. If they win any of them, then they're free to go. So Tottenham still has stuff to play for. I just think they don't got it. I think they've just lost it, lost the plot, as you might say.
Yeah, I think Burnley gets it done as well. I have it 3-2. Wow. I think it'll be a bit more high scoring, but I just really want it for the storyline of the last match day versus Nottingham.
Everything to play
as you'll see my result for their match, I think that Nottingham loses. But yeah, I think Burnley, They got a shot. I think they've shown that they've been good enough over the past 10 weeks that they could get it done. I hope they get it done. Tottenham looks like a team in disarray. Even though they're playing good teams away from home, some of those matches, I mean, they've looked abysmal. Like, they haven't looked like they even put up a fight. They look like a bottom table team.
I mean, they were stomped by Chelsea. The 4-2 is a misleading line against Liverpool. They were dominated by Liverpool, and they lost 4-0 to Newcastle. I mean, the only one that was like somewhat contested was the home match against Arsenal. Other than that, it's been they just have not been good at all.
Yeah, so I think Burnley gets it. They move up to 27 points, and they give themselves the shot to write their own destiny on the last day.
Be exciting. We'll have three. Let's see. We haven't gotten to Luton Town. We haven't gotten to Nottingham. But we are getting to Luton Town right now. They are going to the Hammer's place. West Ham United hosts Luton Town. And do you think West Ham is a better team by far? Do you think that they hold it? Do you think they stick it to Luton Town here?
I think West Ham is a group of players who really like their manager, and they're probably not going to be too happy he's leaving. So I think they go out and they just put on a show. I think it ultimately ends 4-2. But I think it's very much like the Tottenham Liverpool. Like, West Ham just dominates, up 4-0 at one point. But yeah, I think West Ham want to see their manager out, especially in his last home match.
Yeah.
See him out well. So 4-2 West Ham. Luton, gonna feel pretty bad. Still a chance if they win in the last match week to get promoted, obviously, but it will not help their case.
No, certainly not. I've got it as 4-0, so I just have it that they get rolled totally and leave it all for the last match day. 4-0. And then we go to my Wolves hosting Crystal Palace, who, I mean, what are they on now? Are they a 4-game unbeaten streak? Beating Liverpool. Oh, no, it is 5. It is 5. Yeah. They've beaten Liverpool. They beat Newcastle. They beat West Ham. They drew Fulham. And they beat Man U. All in convincing fashion. Do my Wolves stand a chance here?
I don't think so.
Come on.
Wolverhampton just feels like without Neto, they're lacking that bit of creativity they need.
It's true.
And Crystal Palace is on a tear. Elise is playing well. Mateta is playing well. Both guys look like they're auditioning for the top 6 to be transferred to a good team next year. I mean, they look amazing. So I think Crystal Palace takes it 3-1. I think Mateta scores 2. Someone else, who knows, scores another one. But yeah, I just think Wolves without Neto and knowing they're already safe, it's just the mentality is not going to be the same as it was, let's say, match week 20. So I think Crystal Palace being on the hot streak, they keep it up. Obviously, Wolves have been a bit better at Molineux, but I don't think they're going to be that bit better this week.
You see, Fortress Molineux comes through here, and we hold it to a draw. It's a 2-2 draw. That's how I have it. That's speculative. I'm not totally sold on my own pick here, so take it with a grain of salt. But I'm hoping that we can. We have not been playing very well, and you're right. It's been Neto. Missing Neto has put a damper on a lot of our plans. I mean, I don't know what we were going to do really. Trying to finish top half is what we were trying to do, and we just have not been very successful. We've won one match since March 30th. That's a long time. In the previous one we beaten, our most recent win was against Luton Town. Oh, cool. Last time prior to that was March 9th. We beat Fulham 2-1 at Molineux. Since then, loss, draw, loss, draw, loss, win, loss. So, I mean, I don't think we got a win in us, but I think we can hold it to a draw, a 2-2 draw. Maybe surprise them a little bit. I think you would go up early, and then we just coast and let them back into the match, because I feel like that's the most likely way for us to have this happen. Then we move to, speaking of resurgent, we've got Chelsea here going to Nottingham Forest, to the City Ground. I think that Chelsea they're playing out of their minds kind of right now. I think that they take this 4-2. I think it's an exciting match, but I think it's 4-2. And Chelsea keeps on rolling, keeps on trucking, like they have in the past couple match days. Since they got spanked by Arsenal, they've really played well.
Yeah, I have it 3-1. I think similarly they're playing well. I think it could get worse. Nottingham, they want to win. I just don't think it's going to be against this Chelsea team right now. But really, I mean, Nottingham is virtually 1 point away from knocking out Burnley and any points away from just separating the gap from Luton. Yeah. Just based on pure goal difference. If Nottingham draws this week, next week is irrelevant, no matter what.
Yeah.
But
Luton's got to get something.
I think Chelsea has it in them. Their young players seem like they just want to score. Like they're not in that mindset of, oh, well, we got our place in the table. We're good. No, they're like, we're going to see if we can pad the stats. Like Cole Palmer is trying to get the golden boot, and I guarantee he's going to score a couple. They're going to keep feeding him. So they seem pretty motivated as a young crew to continue in a game like this when it really doesn't matter.
And fifth is not outside the realm of possibility with how Tottenham is playing. They're on the same matches as Tottenham. They're both at 35, so they both have 3 left to play. And Chelsea's only down by 6. So, Tottenham, if they lose to Burnley this week, we'll have to see what they do with the other 2 match days. But they could sneak up and get some European action going on next season if they keep messing around like this. So, they could theoretically still have something to play for. Shockingly, like they would be shocked that they are, but it is that way. Speaking of a team that is shockingly still playing for something, Manchester United is in that same boat. They just have a worse goal differential. They take on Arsenal at Old Trafford. How do you think that one shakes out?
My pick was going one way. And then I saw a stat.
Uh-oh.
It was Arsenal in the last 15 games they played at Old Trafford.
Mm-hmm.
They have lost 11, drawn 4, and won 0.
Wow.
And these aren't good Man U teams either. It's not like they're playing the Man U of the 90s.
Right.
Like, these are bad Man U teams that they still haven't won at Old Trafford. So I think due to Man U wanting to be impressionable in some way, I think Man U wins it 3-1. With the third goal, I think they go up 2-0. Mm-hmm. Arsenal gets one back, and the third goal coming late just because Arsenal's kind of caught out at the end on the counterattack. I think it's 3-1. I think it's got the makings of a classic.
It also makes Manchester City's remainder of the season way easier, and that has nothing to do with it.
To the pick. Didn't even think about it.
Didn't even think about it. I have it as 3-3. I think it's a very exciting match. I feel better about it knowing that they haven't beaten Man U at Old Trafford in apparently 18 matches, which is, depending
15.
on...
15 at Old Trafford.
11-4-0. Sorry, for some reason I then changed that to 11-7-0. Which is not exactly 15 years because I'm sure they've played in FA or Carabao at Old Trafford at some point. But still, that makes me feel better about that draw. And then wrapping up the match day on lunes, to say it in Spanish for no reason at all. Aston Villa hosts Liverpool at their own place there. Who do you think comes... I've got this as a 1-1 draw. We've talked about Aston Villa being able to manage talented teams at home at Villa Park in Birmingham. And I think they really put the nail in the coffin here for Liverpool. As much as Liverpool's already kind of out of the title race, it would take a real collapse by Arsenal and City for them to have a chance. I think this one finally puts the nail in the coffin. 1-1 draw going to Aston Villa. Well, not going to Aston Villa, but 1-1 draw.
Yeah, I have it as 2-2. I think Aston Villa will feel really crummy about losing 1-0 to Brighton.
Yeah.
So I think they'll want to take back that home field advantage, get a 2-2 draw versus a good team. Liverpool, honestly, I think they're going to be saving all their energy for the last match week just to get Klopp a win. I don't think they really care about the away match. Again, nothing to play for. They've secured Champions League football. So, yeah, I think Aston Villa has it in them to draw this one out 2-2.
Yeah, and that will bring us to the week that will be match day 37. Like I said, there will be some midweek action that we'll have to cover for, let's see, it's for City and Tottenham and City, Brighton and Chelsea, and Man U and Newcastle. Occurring on Tuesday and Wednesday of next week. But we'll get to that later on. Before we go, we do have to establish our trivia question of the week. What have you got for us now, Keegan?
Well, I need to provide the answer to the one I did.
Did we get off schedule at some point? Oh wait, we're what's happening? Yes, we're late in the week. Boy, I got turned around, huh? Yes, we need to provide the answer to the question, which was oh boy, can I even remember it now? It was something about being somebody being bad. Yes.
Ever in a season in Premier League history.
There we are. Who conceded the most goals ever?
So
the hint was that they aren't currently. You don't know what league they're in. So I'm going to say Sheffield Wednesday because that's a team that I don't know what league they're in right now.
So the answer, and this record will be broken this season.
Oh.
No matter what. Well, I guess not no matter what. Unless Sheffield United can pitch 2 shutouts.
Which they
the previous
can't.
Team to hold the record was Swindon Town.
Swindon Town.
In 1993-94, they gave up 100 goals in 42 games played.
Oh, that's no grind.
To put that in context, it's 2.38 goals per game. Sheffield United currently has 100 goals in 36 matches.
Yeah.
Which, if I do the math correctly,
I mean, we're close to 3 goals.
That is 2.77 goals.
Yeah. Yeah, and the odds of them not giving up a goal in these last 2 match days is small. I'll put the number at small. It is a small likelihood, a small chance.
The real answer is most likely going to end up being Sheffield United. And because I saw the 100 goals that they'd given up, I was like, that's got to be close to a record.
Yeah.
And sure enough, it was tied, and they will be the new winners, which is kind of crazy because they'll still get more points than the lowest point total. So
yeah,
the metrics the optics are all crazy, but giving up 100 goals in a season, very rare.
Yeah, not good. I mean, we've talked about their defense not being a Premier League defense for the past. I feel like they've really fallen off a cliff here in this calendar year.
To put into context, there's a top 5 list I'm looking at. The team at number 5 only gave up 85 goals. So that's how great they've given up 15 more with 2 games left to go than the team just 4 spots below. So they're giving up a lot. Like you said, their defense shambles.
I mean, they've given up 5 goals 3 times this calendar year alone.
They gave up 6 goals at one point, 8 goals to Newcastle.
There's another 5, so that's 4, 5, 8 goals to Newcastle. I forgot about that one, man. Sheesh. Yeah, their defense is bad. And that's why I don't think they'll be back up next season. They'll have to invest in their defense, obviously, because it's historically bad. All right, well there we go. It's currently why'd you say Swindon Town, soon to be Sheffield United.
And now they're tied right now. And the issue is I'll make this an extra trivia.
Ooh. Bonus.
So, depending on how the last 2 games go, they could also break the record for worst goal difference.
Mm-hmm.
That goal difference is currently held by Derby County, the team that only scored 11 points or 13, whatever it was. and that's at minus 69. Sheffield's at minus 65.
They got a chance. Seriously.
So if they just want to keep it up and just hit all the records, they might as well.
They might as yeah, you get in for a penny, in for a pound, right? You know, might as well just be the worst ever, and at least you're in the record books at some point.
Oh yeah.
But you know what? We'll see. We'll see if they can pull through for us. I mean, both of our picks get them much closer, right? Where's Sheffield? There it is, 3-1 and 3-0. I mean, that gets them the most conceded. It gets them pretty close there on goal difference because it'll put them at 67 and 68. And you said that they're what was the record?
69.
69. Nice. We'll see. We'll see. We will see. But until we see, why don't you go ahead and grab some coffee, watch some soccer, and we'll see you on the other side.